The European Union has infuriated the UK with its Brexit trade deal demands over fisheries, and a similar dispute nearly cost them a free trade agreement with Canada. The EU-Canada Trade Agreement, known as CETA, was implemented in 2017, becoming the bloc's biggest agreement ever made as Brussels looked to branch out its economic power. Hailed as an ambitious New Deal, the CETA arrangement promised benefits such as eliminating 98% of tariffs, aiming to remove them completely in years to come. The deal also meant that many goods such as food, textiles, medical equipment and machinery were immediately duty-free. But the deal came under threat when a small region in Canada questioned whether the CETA would benefit them. The Canadian province of Newfoundland and Labrador vowed in 2015 that it would keep minimum processing rules that could trigger penalties under. The region's premier Paul Davis said that his province won't give up the measures meant to protect fish plant jobs unless the federal government delivers what he claimed was promised compensation. The region's leaders were demanding a £225 million $281 million compensation package to help with transitioning for its fisheries and in exchange for giving up on the restrictions. As the potentially lucrative international trade deal between the EU and Canada hung by a thread, Mr. Davis said his region would not support the deal without the cash injection. The Newfoundland region was already skeptical of the EU's objectives after a fisheries war erupted off Canada's coasts in the mid-90s, known as the Turbot War. At the time, the Canadian fishing industry was struggling due to mass decline in cod levels near its. This dramatic decline in fish stocks meant that around 50,000 jobs had been lost in the Canadian commercial fishing industry and many communities had been devastated by the loss of their main source of income. In a desperate attempt to revive stocks, Canada had declared a total moratorium on cod fishing and imposed strict rules meaning that only a limited number of trawlers could go out fishing for other species. But this situation was ignored by many other countries who continued to send vessels right to the edge of Canada's economic exclusion zone, using fishing gear that was illegal under Canadian law, such as small mesh nets. Eventually, a huge clash occurred when a Spanish vessel was chased by the Canadian Coast Guard, trying to prevent the fishermen from Europe undoing Ottawa's preservation. During the fisheries conflict, Canada had at one stage agreed to withhold their aggressive defence. But when talks fell apart without a resolution, Canada resumed its cutting of trawler nets, a move that could endanger the lives of fishermen. Prime Minister of Canada at the time, Jean Chrétien, said, "If we wait, there will be no fish left." Boris Johnson will consider the criticisms of CETA as he looks to secure a beneficial trade deal with the EU post-Brexit. The bloc has insisted that for a free trade deal between London and Brussels to be signed, all 27 member states must keep access to EU waters.